If compost is so good, why does adding it to your soil sometimes cause issues with your plants? Well, today's video is going to be about exactly that. Kristen Music, one of the fellow Geek Crew people who, by the way, all you have to do is hit the subscribe button if you want to join that awesome group of people, posed this question. Now, more specifically, he was asking about minerals, cation exchange capacities, compost versus topsoil, etc. and so forth. So we're actually going to go into a really deep dive on all of those concepts, all of which are right in my wheelhouse, soil science. So if you don't know who I am, my name's Ashley, a bachelor's of science in soil science, and I like to take said science and apply it to the garden, both soil and plants. By the end of this video, I can guarantee you will know what compost does, what topsoil does better, how nutrients, minerals, and cation exchange capacity actually dictate what makes it into the plant, as well as how those things also dictate what actually gets washed away, interestingly enough. First, let's look at minerals and what exactly they are and why compost is not that. So first off, we need to look at exactly what minerals are and why compost generally does not contain any or very few minerals for that matter. And that is because minerals is actually weathered rock. So the bedrock that made planet Earth has been pulverized by a number of different mechanisms ranging from caustic flows, rivers, lakes, glaciers, freeze-thaw cycles, primary succession, lichens and mosses. The list is quite endless. And every time one of these things take place, the big rock gets turned into little rock. This in turn supplies things like calcium, magnesium, zinc, iron, potassium, and the list is quite endless, to be totally honest with you. Compost is organic material. It is not a mineral. Interestingly enough, plants don't eat compost. What they do eat, though, are ions, which is charged nutrients that are held onto by plant particulates. So the way that you should actually think of compost isn't necessarily as a growing medium, because it is not that, meaning you should not fill an entire raised bed with just compost or a container with just compost and expect to get good results. And it also isn't a fertilizer and shouldn't be viewed as such. What it could be viewed as, though, however, is a nutrient delivery system. So let's talk about CEC, cation exchange capacity, in an Ashley way. Because let's face it, school sucks. Cation exchange capacity is how soil holds on to these ions, these charged particulates. And that means holding on to allows for, or does not allow for, leaching or for these nutrients to be washed away. Think of it as kind of like a car battery of sorts. You have the battery, you can put electricity into the battery, but if the battery didn't have water in the saline solution in it, it would just go nowhere. It would just evaporate into air. And so soil is similar in the sense that if you don't have soil particulate, if you don't have mineral soil present, there's nothing for this to hang on to. So your battery is much smaller and or non-existent. You lose it via gravity. You lose it through gassing off. You have higher CEC, cation exchange capacity, you are able to hold on to more nutrients. But this can be an issue if it's a very high cation exchange capacity, because it can actually lock nutrients up and the plant can't access it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. If you have low CEC, cation exchange capacity, you lose nutrients quicker. So who has high CEC? High CEC is seen in clay soils, and it also is seen in compost. Low CEC is found in sandy soils or sand, and also in completely degraded compost. So if we know high CEC is bad because it locks stuff up, and low CEC is bad because it just washes things out, we know the answer is somewhere in the middle, which is why, just like we want a heavy-duty clay soil, we don't want a purely compost soil either. So here's the truth that no one explains when talking about the difference between topsoil and compost. And topsoil, again, is what I often refer to as inorganic soil, mineral soil, And by inorganic, I don't mean toxic. I mean it just has never been alive in any capacity. That's what I mean. Compost boosts microbial activity more than the addition of topsoil would. Compost improves cation exchange capacity temporarily in the short term. Topsoil, if on the loamier end of things, will actually increase the cation exchange capacity, particularly if you have a soil that is on the sandier side. Compost has a low mineral diversity. You are completely a slave to whatever that compost was made from. So, compost and manure, you're only going to get what that animal ate. Mushroom compost, you're only going to get what was involved in the inputs of that. Vegetable compost, same thing. All of them. Any type of compost, you are at the mercy of whatever was put into that thing, that compost. If the parts and pieces that made that compost up were low in something such as calcium, for example, you now have a compost that is low in calcium. Make sense? But topsoil, while high in a wide range of minerals, is actually very low in organic material. And therefore, that in and of itself does pose some problems, mostly in the world of water retention, microbial activity, that sort of thing. Compost also over time will shrink. This is why when you fill up a pot with peat and compost, it tends to go down every year. If you fill up a raised bed with mostly compost, it will go down every year. You top dress with compost, it looks like it disappears. It does shrink over time. Very normal. Topsoil does not shrink. It is in situ, it is in place. And unless water or wind actually erodes it, it's stuck. You're stuck with it in whatever capacity you put it in. Compost is not a stable, long-term nutrient provider. It is temporary. Topsoil is a stable, long-term nutrient provider. Very important. So, best way to look at it, compost is a booster pack for your battery. Topsoil is your battery. You need both, particularly if said topsoil, your battery is getting old. You might need a little bit of a boost to help it out, but you can't really have one without the other successfully. So, when someone says to add compost, you want to actually look at it from the standpoint of adding somewhere between 10 to 30% compost by volume. Too much compost, and you can end up with very particular signs, which can include things like calcium deficiencies and magnesium deficiencies. You also can sometimes see very inconsistent growth. So one year you will have something that is really full of foliage and vegetation and then has next to nothing in regards to flowers. And then the following year, you may see the opposite. So there is rapid fluctuations if we don't control our inputs to that 10 to 30%. So here are kind of 5 really practical takeaways you can think about when it comes to compost versus topsoil and which one you should be using or which one you should be adding. Compost improves cation exchange capacity for things like sandier soils. It can also help with cation exchange capacity in a loamy soil that's not so high in clay. But it does not replace minerals. That can only be done by topsoil. This is why you are marketed rock dust, which, by the way, is just really fancy topsoil, aka don't buy it. Pure compost beds are very short-lived. And when it comes to additions of compost, balance is going to beat volume 9 times out of 10. Compost is great at changing soil structure, particularly if we're talking about a clay that is continually compacted, as well as if we're talking about a sand that doesn't seem to retain any water and or nutrients. This means if you are going to use compost for nutrients, versus using compost for soil structure, there are 2 very different recipes to follow. First off, if we're going to use compost for nutrients, a boost, if you will, the best choice is to top dress with the compost and to incorporate it into that top layer of soil. Then to mulch over top to reduce the gas off of nutrients. This allows the nutrients to move through the soil profile into where the root zone is. If we're using compost to actually improve the soil structure, helping a sandier soil retain more moisture, or letting a clay soil become more fluffy, if you will, we actually want to incorporate it into the soil with a rototiller of sorts. I know, swear word, but it's the truth. And in particular, we want to try to get this compost in and around the root zone in particular. So that can be somewhere around like the 1 foot-ish mark minimum. You have to let me know in the comments down below, Geek Crew. I'd be incredibly interested to know the answer to this. Have you ever done a pure compost garden? And how did it work out for you? I want to know results year 1 all the way to like year 5. Because I feel like many people have been influenced into doing this. Don't do it. It's more expensive and it's useless. So go buy yourself a good garden blend. Go buy yourself some topsoil, or even better yet, get your shovels out and start digging. Because that's where topsoil is. It's everywhere. Anyways, Geek Crew, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.